Good morning, everyone. It's Thursday. I'm fired up Thursdays. Here we go. Tomorrow's training is on dealing with no. If you have difficulties dealing with no, if you have no strategy, then get a no strategy. Justin, if you're on there, stop calling me. I know I butt dialed you, but you should be smart enough. Let's go, Justin Pugh. You're butt dialing me literally, so no need to call. All right, Jakey, Bakey, Mikey, Jeff, good to see you. Let's see if Justin Pugh comes on. Give me a thumbs up, Justin Pugh, if you're on here. See what's going on. He probably log in late. Let's see here. I'll pin this up here. Friday's training is how to deal with no. 949-298-2905 is pinned right below. If you want to join my text community, it's pinned right here. I love doing this. And you can email me there's Justin Pugh. Good to see you, buddy. Awesome. There we go. Kylie Fitzgibbon is the winner of the Junior Achievement Impact Award for 2-minute drill. Congratulations, Kylie. David at dmeltzer.com. Let's hook up. Jesse, good to see you. Let's get the questions started. We're going to get fired up today. We got a great day planned. Here we go. What makes a good podcast guest and interview? Curiosity. That's what I'm talking about. It's not the big names, it's the big ideas that make a good interview, and someone that is curious and is more interested than interesting. As you can see here on Instagram, even the interviews that we do here, we are, having unbelievable conversations here, teaching people a lot through that curiosity and interest that's created. So be more interested than interesting. Be curious, and you'd be a great interview. Tell your lessons through great stories, and that helps as well. We'll keep this thing coming. Blaine, why do you call Wednesdays More Good News Day? Yeah, my Wednesdays are now defined as it's more good news because, you get to Wednesday and everybody calls it hump day, and that has a negative, scarce energy to it. For me, it's like, oh man, I'm getting more good news. We've got Monday good news, Tuesday good news. Now Wednesday's just more good news, not over the hump. There's nothing to go over. Whatever hump you're looking at, whatever made that hump is walking within you. Whatever has made that hump. So it ain't hump day. It's more good news day. More good news Wednesday. Let's just get more good news on Wednesday and just accelerate us through Thursday like today will happen. And then Friday. So I got my friend Dave Hurt coming on at D Hurty, Hurty, and he is the co-founder and CEO of Verb Data, verbdata.com. Great company, and they had a public launch of Verb. We're going to bring him on, and MGM Day, that's awesome. Let's take a few questions before we get to Dave in about 2 minutes. Jeffrey, one superpower, what would it be? Kindness, for sure. Kindness is the ultimate. Are you buying crypto art, Mr. Meltzer? I am not buying any crypto art at this time. No NFTs at this time. I don't know enough about the market makers, but when I do, I will buy. It's all to me about understanding who's making the market, so I understand the buying and selling, because that's how you know how it goes up and down. But right now, I'm focusing in on doubling the amount of money I make as fast as I can. And all of my investments are going to things that I don't have to pay attention to, that guarantee me a minimum amount of profit. What do you usually eat for breakfast? I eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. And so I usually have some sort of protein and grapefruit juice and a lot of water, and then maybe some either eggs or some other stuff that I can add in there, eating as much as I can in the morning. I wake up at 4 a.m., so by the time you're, having your breakfast, I'm almost on lunch. As my team knows, they get it there. They don't let me get to a matter of being hungry. Colleen's crying there because she has seen the Hangry Dave. You heard Hungry Jack. Hangry Dave is way work. All right, here we go. We'll bring Dave Hurt in here. He is waiting patiently. Dave Hurt at D Hurty. He is the co-founder and CEO of Verb Data, unbelievable business and software, allowing us to see and analyze what we want. What book are you currently reading? It's so many. Hey, Dave, how are you?
Great. How are you?
I am terrific. Great to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
Well, there's so much involved in data. And for me, one of the complexities, looking at dashboards and understanding the data, and I'm being fed more and more data. The bigger my brand gets, the more data there is on Dave. And I'm a math person, so
Okay.
I have to take a deep breath because I have to realize the independent and dependent variables concerned into data. I have to look at the multi-billions of variables in that data. And then one of the greatest concerns to me too is just understanding the impact
Mhm.
of the data. And I think a lot of people can look at numbers, and the numbers are correct, right?
Right.
I think we've gotten past the days of bad data in. Early on, people just collect
Mhm.
data, and then they get bad data in and bad data out. Now, I think we have a problem that nobody knows what data is truly important according
Right.
to what there is. Kind of the same as Dave, investing. Like tons of people are investing. You just saw the kid ask me about art NFTs, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Before you start looking at what to invest, why don't you determine your timing and risk tolerance? What do
Exactly.
we need? What do we need to determine before we look at our data? What are the things that people should be, because Verb Data does a great job,
Mhm.
but what should they be looking at before so that data means something?
Exactly. So what we tell our customers is work backwards, right? So what is the use case you want to use this data for? So in our situation, we sell to SaaS companies. So we talk to our customers and we say, you need to know what your end users want to do with that data. So is it on every Monday morning, they're going to log in and they're going to download a report and they're going to use that all week to do whatever their job function is? Or do they need data, real-time data every minute up to the minute, and how are they going to use that? So we think it's really important to work backwards to understand what you're going to use your data for, and then you can prepare it and analyze it for that.
And how has the sales cycle changed within the context of selling a SaaS solution to a B2B atmosphere? I was in the enterprise sales business for years in the
Mhm.
90s, early 2000s. And one of the most frustrating things was how long it took. And it seems to now seem to me that they're acclimated to making quicker decisions, which hopefully has helped you and your company.
Yeah, definitely. The bottom up sales motion is much more popular now. You look at like companies like Slack, where any random analyst or manager can kind of sign up and put their team on Slack. We're approaching it very similarly. So any engineer can really sign up and test out our platform, and then if they want to kind of use it across the company, they work up the chain instead of an executive pushing it down. So that's been really helpful because that's kind of people are getting much more comfortable with that motion. But we also provide free trials and we help with proof of concepts, which is still necessary. I'm sure, in your experience, you had to go through proof of concepts and really handhold to get people up and running. And so, our goal is to not have to do that, but we're still early on. And so we're working towards that.
And what do you see, since you're kind of in the reverse engineering of what companies want to see?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that gives you a great perspective on where our business is going internationally, the size,
Mhm.
scope, and scale of the audience, which I still think, and I'd love your input on. I don't think we fathom the size, scope, and scale of the audience that, mid-size, small, and even, of course, the large businesses have access internationally. But, a smaller mid-sized business actually has as much access as ever, and they can't fathom what billions of people mean in respect to data.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what's also interesting is the internationalization of software like this. We have a lot of procurement companies that are SaaS procurement platforms. So they run RFPs or things like that, right? And so that's multinational. So we're dealing with different types of currencies and then currency conversions. And so, as you expand, things get more complicated because you have different types of data that you have to normalize. So, a yen in Japan is equal to what in the US dollars, and then shipping costs and things like that is really interesting. But on the other side of that, there's just so much data out there, right? So, and companies are able to scale so quickly that you have to be really prepared to manage a huge scale and huge growth early on, or else your platform is going to fall apart very quickly. So when you expand, internationally broadly, you have to really have a strong foundation.
And within the context of that, you have to have, a really strong beta testing and pilot program, because the faucet's so big that
Yeah.
things will break quickly. And you are the one that they're relying on for that critical data. And so you really have to make sure that nothing breaks.
Exactly.
So, what does that look like in, today's world with the pandemic and with the reach that you have and with
Mhm.
the amount of data that you're dealing with? How long does it take to run those betas, the pilots, and to secure that data so that nothing breaks?
Yeah, so my business partner and our background is in enterprise SaaS. So we've kind of built this targeting and knowing that we're going to have to manage large amounts of data. So we didn't want to fall on our face early on, but we kicked off our private beta halfway through last year and really stress tested it as much as possible early on. So that was a big part of getting the company up and running. As far as when our customers come on and they want to test it out and see how much load we can handle and that kind of stuff. That's why we give free trials, right? So we tell them, do your worst, bring as much data as you want, and we'll stand up to the test of that. So it's really important to kind of have those proof points and show that we have customers who are running large data sets. And so customer testimonials have been huge for us to get new customers as well.
And one of the other barriers beyond finance in the
Yeah.
conversion of different currencies,
Mhm.
and we'll see how Bitcoin fits into that
Yeah.
regulation. But moreover, is just languages.
Yeah.
I've been an international enterprise person for years and years in
Mhm.
Europe and Asia, Australia, which isn't too difficult for
Yeah.
me language wise, but especially in Asia for me with
Mhm.
Samsung when I ran the smartphone division there, and uh, I still see language as a barrier with data and
Yeah.
with SaaS solutions. And everybody thinks, I'll just outsource this, we'll do this, or even in the executive side of communicating,
Mhm.
a pilot or a beta or an implementation. What have you done in order to overcome some of the language
Yeah.
barriers that exist? Because you do work worldwide.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we have a couple of customers who are US and European based, so it's been an interesting experiment. So, um, you know, not to be on the technical side, but we use things like translation text. So you can, basically say that this value in English means, dollar. This value in German means whatever the German dollar is. Or euro, right? So
Yeah.
we give you the functionality to kind of control the language there. But on top of that, I think what's interesting is compliance and GDPR rules are even more complicated than just the language barriers, right? So what's allowed and how you store your data in the US is a different rule than how you store your data in Europe. So you have to be multi-region. You have to be able to keep your data separate from one country to another country, which is super difficult for most companies, but we've made that a lot easier for them to be able to do that.
And so interesting. So I have my kids, and I'm back and forth on learning a language for that very reason. It's so interesting because I know that both Android and iOS are working in converting language in the intonation and connotation that you utilize. For example, in 93 different languages. So even on IG someday, you could be speaking, Swahili,
Right.
and it would appear as Dave Meltzer in Swahili and back to me in English. So I know there's a part of the brain that's exercised by learning a language, so that's what still has me pushing my kids to learn it.
Yeah.
Last thing, real quick, what has changed the most for your business during the pandemic? Obviously, you're sitting in a good spot for it because data becomes more critical and the virtual remote world becomes more acceptable.
Yeah.
But what has changed the most for your business?
Yeah, I think the sales motion is a lot different, right? So we're not going out and visiting customers like we would have otherwise, right? So the remote sales process, but also just the SaaS industry is exploding. So there are more and more SaaS platforms, and they're becoming more industry specific, more vertical specific. So that's helping us kind of get our foot in the door because as you become a more specific, more focused SaaS platform, you have less time to build non-core functionality like dashboards and reports. So it's giving us a really good entry point into some of these highly specific SaaS platforms.
Yeah, I think, there's a huge awakening as a 53-year-old business person on the expense and waste that was existing and the inefficiencies that I had created from false illusions of what needed to be done in order to sell.
Yep.
And I think it's a phenomenal progression in what we do and how we do it, especially in enterprise sales,
Yeah.
SaaS solutions like your own. And I'm very excited to see, what you guys do and how you grow. So please come back and visit me. Thank you so much for all the awesome advice.
Thank you so much. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later, Dave. All right, check him out. That's Dave Hurt at dhurdy, verbdata.com. Amazing company. You'll hear a lot more from them. They are just starting out. You will see, and they have raised a little pre-seed funding. They're ready to go. I love having and getting these companies on early because it'll be those I told you so's, kind of like overactive media. You know, man, no idea. I love investing in companies where I think they're overvalued, and then it's like the best investment ever. And the valuations are beyond the size, scope, and scale of where we're at. All right, Taylor Steele is here, founder and CEO of Salento Tequila. We'll see what the organic tequila people have to say today. We go from data to tequila. They, let's find the similarities there. Hey, Taylor, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Hey, I'm going to start out just as a little transition. How important is data in the tequila business today?
Well, like it's really important in the sense of trying to find your audience and find out what they're looking for and really sort of trying to align those two things. So I would say it's super important, especially now that we're all on our phones so much.
Yeah, well, you've made a few quite a transition, and I find the tequila space one of those areas that's kind of like a aggregator of talent. I have so many different. I've made several investments in the space. I have so many friends in the space, and it is an eclectic group of people. You yourself were a filmmaker turned entrepreneur. How'd you end up in the tequila business?
I started out making surf films at a young age, and those films went for a good two decades. And then, as we know, BitTorrents and YouTube's changed the whole way we approach media, and we don't buy DVDs anymore, and it was almost more disposable. So I had to transition into a new career, and I started doing commercials for big brands like Apple, HP, Pacifico, and those things. And then as I started doing that, I really just had a moral compass sort of moment where I thought like I'm selling some of these brands, and what are they? What am I selling? And so I wanted to create a brand from the start, from the bottom up, that I stood for everything with it.
And you talk about a slow culture, which is kind of counterintuitive as I was doing more research on it and understanding, the space and what that slow culture is. Because I kind of portray things as a blended culture. And when I kind of learned about slow culture, it was fascinating to me because I think that spectrum is huge. Explain to me exactly your perception of the slow culture and how that applies to Salento.
Well, I think that, tequila is a space that's been traditionally used as a shots or like this big party environment, and really sort of more, college vibe. And as like I learned about tequila over the last, 12 years or so, that there's a really premium high-end tequila world that's being overlooked. And that takes a long time to get to that really nice tequila. And so we shouldn't just do a shot and sort of disregard that it took, sometimes up to 9 years to get here, and just not appreciate the quality in it. And so for me, that's part of, the slow culture. But I think like the day to day, we're all so busy. We're all don't know when to click off from work to personal time. And for me, it's important to sort of have these little things that create a way to switch off from our stay at home working on our computer all day to now we're going to just be more present with our family or ourselves. And so for me, like Salento has a part of that slow culture vibe, where maybe it's a transition, a ritual that we create that makes us, slow down and decompress from the day. But I think like we're all just fighting to sort of balance our lives and not be all in our heads and thinking of the future so much that we can't like be present.
Yeah, I'm part of that slow culture. It's so funny because I grew up on tequila, which was more the Tijuana, Rosarita, Cabo tequila, that you wake up feeling a lot different than you do with a amazing tequila like Salento that you
Yeah.
sip and can sip all day.
Yeah.
Just like a great scotch or some other vintage alcohol that really allows you to enjoy your perspective and get a different, energy going. For you, what was the most difficult thing? So many people have tried to transition, coming here from Southern California. A lot of the content friends of mine and entrepreneurs have had a difficult time transitioning. What were some of the challenges that you faced in transitioning from, the creative world of content into a more pragmatic, there's nothing worse than distributors. So stock balancing and distribution are two of the things that have caused a lot of lessons in my life. How was your transition into that space?
It's a big learning curve. I think it's all perspective. Like I try not to beat myself up for not knowing how the alcohol industry works, and really try to learn it with open eyes and a beginner's mind. But for me, like I just sort of assumed that good marketing would be enough to sort of bridge that. But there's so many formulas and things to learn within the space, and the way to work and how to grow that I had to learn, and I'm still learning. And I think it's resetting expectations and have those expectations on just steady growth, and not really try to be an overnight success. But it's a marathon compared to a sprint mentality that I had to readjust.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest lesson I learned from working with Sydney Frank and helping so many different alcohol brands launch was I am hyper aggressive on the marketing and branding and endorsement side with influencers through the relationship capital that I had. And I created, excuse my language, but a shitstorm, not only for me, but for the company, because it takes capital to support the demand that you can create. And the distribution channels are so large that you have to be very cognitive of a scaled, slow, steady growth, because some of the biggest failures I've had in the business is because I was too successful and I couldn't capitalize or finance the success I was having. And the last thing you want is people running to a store and there's nothing on the shelf, or going to a club and there's nothing behind the bar. And so those are some great lessons that we learned. Now, have you been able to leverage, some of the great relationships that you've had into Salento, because you have worked with the world's best in the film side of it for, 2 decades? How have you been able to leverage that relationship capital over into Salento?
We have some pretty high profile people that invested, but I'm super conscious of that. It's a space that a lot of celebrities come into, and I don't want to be sort of known as a celebrity brand. I think that's a sprint mentality. And for me, like I'd rather people discover it on their own, share it on their own, and find it in a way that connects with them on a personal level. And so all those sort of like high profile people, or high profile in their niche space, have connected in different ways, where they've introduced us to accounts or investors or other spaces in there, and not so forward facing in the other way. But for me, like I think the opportunity is really having something that connects with you and affects you on a day in and day out, not the aspirational but more inspirational vibe.
I love that, because for me, alcohol, hair care, skin care are all what I call acquisition businesses, where you build it up to 30 million, it gets $100 million valuation and someone buys you, or you build it up to even bigger and get $1 billion or $2 billion valuation and the conglomerates buy you. So it is one of those spaces. I actually am excited about my own podcast because, Rogan's deal is indicative to me that it's becoming an acquisition space where you can build something up to a $30 million valuation and Spotify can buy you for $100 million. As a solopreneur in some of the ventures that I'm in, it gets exciting. Do I coach so many people like yourselves and tell them as they get into these business thinking about the acquisition, I said, look, acquisitions only occur for those people who build businesses that they want to be involved in for life. They don't have to stay in it for life, but you can't build a business to exit. And if you do, very rarely does it work out. The people that I know that exit are the ones who build a business and they're building it to last a lifetime. And then they have many options to exit. this sounds like to me that you're building a business for a lifetime. Is this something that you could do for your lifetime, or two, are you building it for an acquisition?
No, I feel like exactly your point. If you're building it for acquisition, then it's almost a shell game, and you're sort of like doing this sort of, you pull away the thing and there's nothing behind it. For me, I'm building something that I never want to sell because I'm going to be so in love with it day in and day out. I'm going to be creating films with it, doing events, all these sort of elements that encompass my whole career up to now. So for me, that's the way I imagine it, is something that it's going to be really tough to pull away from me because it already encompasses so much of the things I love.
Well, we'll be sending you some content from, I am blessed to be on the Transformational Leadership Council with some of the world thought leaders that you know. And there's nothing more than we love than to sit around with a really good tequila, sipping it and discussing metaphysics, quantum physics, and some other really way out there things that other people may not be enjoying, but I certainly do. So thank
Love
you
it.
so much for giving us another option to enjoy ourselves while we pontificate the universe together. So we enjoy that. And I also just have to tell you, growing up in San Diego, growing up with Peter Benjamin and Aaron Chang and Robbie Blake and a lot of the guys, man, we just love your films.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I grew up on them, and just
Thanks for that.
good content. And I can see how it'll blend in for the
Yeah.
future for Salento. SalentoTequila.com. Anywhere else people should reach out for you or for the tequila?
Yeah, just that's probably the best place to go. But we're all over. We're Total Wine, Whole Foods, all those places. So yeah,
Awesome, man.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Dave. Come back and visit me. I appreciate you coming on.
All right, thank you. See you.
Thank you. Take care. Awesome. All right, Dave Hurt there, Salento Tequila, organic tequila. And it is a high quality tequila. So it's not a shot glass party down in Rosarita or tequila or Tijuana that's with the whistles blowing and shaking your head. So anyway, let's take a couple quick questions. That was Taylor Steele, by the way. Ugh, sorry. I am losing my mind. That is Taylor Steele, and it's SalentoTequila.com at Salento_tequila. And Taylor Steele. Sorry, Taylor. I apologize. My mind's moving too fast, and I am human. Forgive me. Thank you so much, Taylor. Taylor and Dave, thank you so much for coming on. How long is your morning routine? So my morning routine starts at 9 p.m. at night, and it's an unwind routine that leads me to unwinding for the night so that I can recover my body and clear the interference of my ego from my subconscious to my unconscious. Jake wants me to remind everyone that I'm doing a financial literacy clubhouse today with the incredible Hall of Famer, San Diego State superstar, world champion, Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion, MVP, Marshall Faulk. That's right, 1:30 today. Join me on Clubhouse. I'm doing a thing on financial literacy with the incredible Marshall Faulk. If you're a fan, this man can bring it on the field, but I'm telling you, he's better off the field. When you see the knowledge that he has in transitioning people, I have various graduate degrees, and this man has taught me so much about financial literacy, and not only for me, but how to teach other people. 1:30 Pacific time on Clubhouse, Marshall Faulk and I. Greatest show on turf. You got it. The champion of finance, David Meltzer with Marshall Faulk. A little M&M action. Clubhouse, 1:30 p.m. Pacific time today on Clubhouse. Please join me and Marshall. If you are not there, just go ahead, email me, david@dmeltzer.com to join us. David@dmeltzer.com. Marshall Faulk and David Meltzer on Clubhouse, 1:30. Enjoy it. Oh, I almost forgot that. I'm doing terrible today. So thank you, everyone, for your patience, especially Taylor Steele with Salento. He's probably going, he had the wrong name. Oh, I hate being imperfect, but I am. And implementing radical humility, I will have to reach out to Taylor and tell him my mind fart was there. Anyway, 1:30, I'll see everyone. Let's take another quick question as we go here. Thank you so much for putting him in there. I appreciate all of you. How do you know the person you're dating is the one you're supposed to marry? You will never know if the person you're dating is the one that you're supposed to marry, but marry someone that is perfect for you, not somebody that is perfect. And if you look for the light, the love, and the lessons, and you feel that someone's perfect for you, and you look for the light, the love, and the lessons in them, and not for what you don't want in them, you will have a long-lasting, growing, evolving marriage like David Marino, who just popped on from Mexico. Happy Thursday. He is happily married and having his first baby. Congratulations, D. Marino. At JA Worldwide, 8:45 a.m. Pacific time. Join me again live on the Junior Achievement Worldwide, the Impact Award we're going to be giving to Kylie Fitzgibbon. She's amazing. Come join us. Hi, Christina. Hi, Colleen. Hi, everyone. David Marino, the other DM in my life. You got to love those DMs. Always love them. All right, let's get here. Best book for kids to read. Who Ate My Cheese? I think, or Where's My Cheese? I love that book for kids. Or even better, sorry, Monster at the End of the Book. I know people are down on Seuss, so move over to Sesame Street. Grover's The Monster at the End of the Book is an analogous book that shows you as you turn the pages what is your biggest fear and who is in your way from getting what you want. And you got it. It's you. You cannot find inside of you what you can't find outside of you. And you will walk with the greatest hands around you, through you, for others. Thank you so much. Shouts from Syracuse. Come see us in Syracuse. Gary V and I will be speaking April 7th in Syracuse together. Very proud to see that guy again. It's been a year, so very excited. The COVID hidden and extraordinary entrepreneur Gary Vaynerchuk and myself will be at the No Bull Conference keynoting. I think we're doing a fireside chat together. Very excited to see him. So that's cool too. 1:30 today, Marshall. I got all the champions around me. Gary Vaynerchuk and Marshall Falk. What? My life is amazing. What is your YouTube of the week? My YouTube of the week. I always search one thing on YouTube to get better at. And for me, looking and seeing how to utilize Clubhouse, getting the inside scoop on what people are saying on YouTube about how to use Clubhouse, where I'll be 1:30 today with Marshall Falk. Syracuse, April 7th and 8th at the No Bull Conference. I think 8th, I'm with Gary there. But go ahead, check out the No Bull Conference. We're doing a few more pitch competitions. You can always reach me. Look, if you want to get updated on everything, just email me. David@dmeltzer.com. I got so much going on. Tell me what you're interested in, and I'll send you that way. My books, guys, exercises, all are free. Just at David Meltzer, David@dmeltzer.com. You can see my text number below, 949-298-2905. Let me take a quick question, and then we'll be moving over to JA Worldwide at 8:45 today with Kylie Fitzgibbon, the Junior Achievement Impact Award winner. I'm the Chief Chancellor of Junior Achievement Worldwide, Junior Achievement University Worldwide. Bob Proctor, Brian Tracy, Sharon Lecter, the greatest minds, all there. Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen. Everybody's in there with us. We love you. Thank you for being great chancellors with us. Blaine Bartlett. How do you balance between learning and execution? Wow, that's a deep one. All right, we'll finish with how do you distinguish between learning and execution? The learning stage is when somebody shadows you and learns about what you are doing. In other words, you are mentoring them. They're watching what's inside of you, what you know, getting directions to where you are. Then execution is going beyond you and you coaching them. So let me explain this a little bit farther. So a learning stage is your mentorship, you giving everything inside of you so that people can get to where you are. An execution stage is you're coaching them to bring the best out of them so they can go past you. All right. So learning stage is to get them to where you are, to break even, and execution is to go beyond. All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. We are moving over to Junior Achievement Worldwide, JA Worldwide. Come join me in 10 minutes, JA Worldwide. Kylie Fitzgibbon, the Junior Impact Achievement Award winner on 2-Minute Drill, Bloomberg, Amazon. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Season 2 is filming in 2 weeks. It'll be airing in June. It's now an hour long. is so much better. We had a good start, but it wasn't to where I want it to be. So now it's going to be a lot better. Give me a thumbs up, everybody. All right. Be kind to your future self. I'll see you in 10 minutes. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. Thank you.